A man has fallen into the river in Lego City. Hey!
Ah, Segmentus sapiens. I've heard this species be called many a thing on the internet. Lego gorillas, blatant product placements,
Brown bricks,
goop but solid, Minecraft looking ass, and so on. To all of these remarks, I have but one response. Exactly! But in all seriousness, I know that Bloxx is amongst the less popular aliens within the Ben 10 fandom. And as the token weirdo who likes all the more obscure aliens, as someone who went to see that Bloxx statue in London that one time, and as someone who likes to make videos that get people angry, whoa, put that away! I have not uploaded that one yet. Don't, no, stop spoiling it. Put it away. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Where was I? And as someone who likes to make videos that get people angry, I feel like it's my duty to defend this beautiful brick-built boy. But before we get into Bloxx's speculative biology, I just want to take a moment to properly address those of you watching this who just downright don't like Bloxx. I feel like on the internet, a lot of people fixate on one viewpoint, and if you don't agree with that viewpoint, then you deserve the death penalty in their eyes. Even though I, like many other people, have a wide array of different viewpoints when regarding something we love. For example, in the case of Bloxx, I like him a lot. I like his design, I like his powers, I like his voice, and while I don't love his color scheme, I've seen others make some changes to his color scheme that I do like, and even then, I can still appreciate that his color scheme is fine, you know, even if it isn't personally my favorite aspect of his design. However, some people just straight up find Bloxx to be a terrible looking alien all around, and that tends to be the reason behind these more extreme kinds of redesign. Personally, I prefer the original design, but I can acknowledge that there are some absolutely fantastic Bloxx redesigns out there, some that barely even look like the original. What I'm trying to say is, don't think that this video is me trying to justify why the original Bloxx design is the best there is, and that if you don't share that opinion, I think you're an idiot, because that's not how I feel. I like this design, I love these particular fan designs, and while I don't love redesigns like this, I can still respect that to someone else, this kind of design takes Bloxx from a dumb-looking joke of an alien and elevates him into something that fits in a little better alongside other aliens in the franchise. I respect your feelings if you're not a fan of Bloxx, but please allow me to use this video as a way to explain why, personally, I feel like an alien like Bloxx is a perfect fit for the Ben 10 franchise as he is. Without further ado, let's discuss why Bloxx's design makes sense. It's hero time! To get the most obvious reason out of the way, we need look no further than the second of the 7 deadly sins, but I mean greed. Cartoon Network has had its demands when it came to the production of, as far as I'm aware, every single series within the Ben 10 franchise. Turning back time on Ben's personality and character development to try and hit the same positive ratings that they used to with the classic series, cutting down screen time for aliens who didn't do so well with toy sales, such as Brainstorm, and everything surrounding that one infamous gold poop episode from Alien Force serve as perfect examples of how the network throttled the creators into making changes to the story they wanted to make for the sake of keeping their show on the air. When I see Bloxx, I can only imagine he was one of the byproducts of Cartoon Network's demands. I mean, the trivia section of Bloxx's wiki page even states that Derek J. Wyatt, one of the leading talents behind Omniverse, had nothing to do with the creation of Bloxx's concept, and that Bloxx was first introduced to the world via a Bandai Toy Fair display. A network that wanted to sell toys, forcing their authority over a franchise made to sell toys, introducing a toy-like character and an event all about toys, with a design that is unapologetically based on Lego, a toy brand that won an award for the world's most valuable toy brands 9 consecutive years in a row? Yeah, I think we all know why Bloxx exists. But now let's forget the sad truth of the matter and turn instead to why, within the Ben 10 franchise itself, why would a species like this exist? A theory that a friend brought to my attention was that Bloxx is perhaps an artificial being brought into existence by a higher life form, similar to the Nulgian Destructors built by the Nulgians. But seeing as that theory is more suited to a topic of another video I'm working on, stop teasing my thumbnails to them! Fucking go away! Jesus, alright, that better not happen again. Anyway, seeing as I'm working on another video where the topic of aliens built by other aliens is more relevant, for now I'm just going to bring up that the theory of Bloxx being another species invention exists, and move on with a larger focus on exploring how a creature could potentially come to exist through the process of evolution and natural selection. If you want to learn about how, theoretically, Bloxx could be an artificial being made by another species, wait for that other video. Put the thumbnail away! Fucking god. To start with, I think we can pretty comfortably make the assumption that Segmentus sapiens, if they did indeed evolve naturally, would be silicon-based life forms, similar to other species like the Sonorosians. As for their body plan, let's look at the closest real-world counterpart we have for the anatomy of Segmentus sapiens in order to inform our speculation on how and why they would have evolved to be the way they are: gorillas. Specifically, I want us to take a look at mountain gorillas. These resilient apes possess a number of traits that help them survive in their environment, including high tolerance to a variety of different temperatures, acclimation to climate variability, low freshwater requirements, opposable thumbs to help them grab onto surfaces as well as to grab onto the plants they eat, and the powerful arm muscles that help them with both climbing and combat. If we compare mountain gorillas to segmentosapiens, we can begin to form a hypothetical understanding of the species' lifestyle. Perhaps they too live in mountainous regions, and so their physical resemblance to gorillas in terms of both size and shape isn't a mere coincidence, but rather the purposeful work of convergent evolution, the process in which unrelated animal species evolve similarly due to the fact that certain adaptations are just far more useful than others within certain environments. But then, why can segmentosapiens shapeshift? While at first I wanted to suggest that segmentosapiens could perhaps use their shapeshifting to turn into bridges across gaps, or perhaps turn into a catapult to launch boulders in the mountain regions that I speculate they live in, but then I realised I was making a mistake. While Ben certainly uses Bloxx in such ways, that doesn't necessarily mean that segmentosapiens as a whole would do the same. Ben uses Earth ideas for his shapeshifting, but segmentosapiens live on another world entirely. Perhaps they use their shapeshifting merely to reach higher up places than they could otherwise, or maybe to shield their young from oncoming attacks by becoming a barrier. Or maybe even something as simple as just growing in size to try and intimidate predators. The bumps on their bodies could exist for a similar purpose as well. Perhaps instead of just Lego studs, these raised parts could either be for the sake of making a segmentosapien look larger and more intimidating to predators, or perhaps something more like brass knuckles intended to add an extra bit of oomph to their physical attacks, or maybe they're used by the species in order to attract mates. Hey, you can't say that having larger lumps than your peers doesn't make you more likely to get hooked. You fuckers know what you're into, don't act like you don't. Next, let's address the colours of segmentosapiens. If they truly do live on mountainsides, why would a species with colours like this try to live in an environment with colours like this?
God, motherfucker.
Well, rather than camouflage, I believe the bright colours of segmentosapiens could be something similar to the aposematic signals used by real-world animal species who use bright colours to warn predators of their highly dangerous poison, like the poison dart frog. However, in this specific case of segmentosapiens, rather than being a species that warns predators off with bright colours that warn of its poisonous nature, I believe they're likely a species that uses bright colours to bluff about being poisonous, deterring predators from wanting to risk getting killed by poison without actually having any poison. This may be the reason for segmentosapien anatomy as a whole. I don't know about you, but when I look at this, I don't think, that looks like a tasty dish. I think, fucking hell, it's just a pile of bloody bricks, I can't eat that. Next, I want us to focus on the face of segmentosapiens. Notice anything strange? Segmentosapiens have eyes, a nose, and a mouth. This implies a few things. First, let's start with the eyes. Considering that most animals have light-sensitive nerves that connect their eyes to their brain in order to transfer visual information, there's a high likelihood that Bloxx does contain a brain of some kind, though perhaps not in the conventional sense. Maybe instead of an organic brain that controls every function within the body, segmentosapiens just have a complex system of nerves that react accordingly to surrounding stimuli. In that scenario, having eyes that can physically see stimuli would be a big advantage for the species, as only being able to see through a sense of touch would be a hindrance even at the best of times. Next, the nose. Having a nose implies the existence of lungs, and seeing as breathing through your nose is actually beneficial for your body's circulation and for the filtration of toxins in the air you breathe, being able to breathe through a nose while living in high altitude regions with less oxygen would be beneficial for survival thanks to more efficient oxygen circulation. This next one stumped me for a little bit. Having a nose implies the existence of lungs, that's fine enough and easy to explain the significance of, but having a mouth implies the existence of both lungs and a throat, which means a stomach, and then there's got to be some way for the body to expel waste products after, and I know for a fact that Bloxx doesn't have an anus. In that case, we have two questions to answer here. What does the species eat, and why? If we first note that due to the lack of a butthole, segmentosapiens either dispose of waste in one of three ways, that being either they just let whatever they eat rot away in their stomach until it gets dissolved completely by stomach acid, they eat something and then regurgitate the waste material out of their mouths, or they fully incorporate whatever they eat into their body. This is where I finally got my answer. Perhaps in the mountainous regions where they potentially live, segmentosapiens eat specific minerals that are rich in silicon or whatever other materials they're made up of, and then instead of digesting said material, they incorporate it into themselves. Remember that Bloxx possesses a supernatural level of regeneration, but that kind of thing can't be done indefinitely because eventually he'd just run out of material to replace broken parts with. So perhaps the reason why his species has mouths is in order to more easily fit larger deposits of material into their bodies in order to use later as spare regenerative tissue. But with all of that said, that's all I can really say to provide biological meaning to the anatomy of segmentosapiens. Hopefully you found these ideas compelling. Feel free to tell me how they make no sense in the comments below. And without further ado, let's move into channel member shoutouts, last video's poll results, shout out to people from last video's poll, and finally this video's poll. First, a big thank you to our channel members. Victor Matusik, Adiana Jones, and Riverjoy. You guys are a huge help with keeping the channel up and running, so thank you very much. Now, moving into last week's poll, I asked you guys which design of Weibig was your favourite out of the Classic, UAF, Ultimate, and Omniverse designs. With 6.8k total votes, 30% of you said Classic, 22% of you said UAF, 6% of you said Ultimate, and 42% of you said Omniverse, which I'll admit surprised me, because I thought Classic would be the most popular by a long shot. Now, I said that I'd shout out anybody who could correctly guess which design is my personal favourite, so let's do that now. So, big shout out to XX9610, Master Motion 123, User Star Master, Elegant Lechonk, Aho Takoyaki, Primal Sean 1698, and Cat Burner 1896. Congratulations to all of you for guessing that my favourite was UAF Weibig. I do really love everything that the Omniverse design has to offer, but something about the sleek and simplistic design of the UAF Weibig just really does it for me. Plus, UAF was the show I watched the most growing up, so honestly Weibig's UAF design just gives me the most nostalgia, even though I saw Weibig in Classic first. Now, let's finish off by moving into this video's poll. This time, I'm going to be asking you guys a question about future Bens. Which future Ben had the most interesting gimmick in your opinion? Ultimate Ben, with his ability to manifest the powers of his aliens within himself, or Ben 10K, with his ability to fuse two aliens together with the Biomnitrix. And, same as last time, I'll give shoutouts in my next discussion video to anyone who can guess which one is my favourite out of the two in the comment section of this video. Have a great day, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. No, not that video, we're never making that one, get that thing off screen right now before we're demonetized. Okay, good. See you next time, fellow heroes.